Good morning. Thanks everybody to join another Nolty Lighting Talk. My name is Manuel Padilla, and I'm a product engineer in Nolty. Today I'm going to talk about progressive web applications and WordPress. First of all, let's start with the concept of PWA. So, what is a PWA? A progressive web application is a hybrid of a regular website and a mobile application and reflects a new approach to software development. PWAs combine the features offered by most modern browsers with the benefits of a mobile experience. So the PWAs are a new great concept for the web developers because we can use the knowledge that we already have about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to create a new applications that can be used on a mobile web browser, on a desktop web browser, and even it can be used as an application. What makes a web app a progressive web application? Progressive web application provide an installable app-like experience on desktop and mobile that are built and delivered directly via the web. Their web apps, they are web apps that are fast and reliable, and most importantly, they're web apps that work in any browser. When we talk about installable, it means that you can control the launch experience, including a customized splash screen, icons, and even more. Uh, this kind of application, it runs as app in app window without an address bar or other browser UI. And like all other installed application on a mobile phone, it's a top level app in the task switcher. So you can switch and see your web application on the task manager on your smartphone. And when we talk about mobile and desktop, we are talking about the responsive design techniques. So progressive web application work on both mobile and desktop using a single code base between platforms that that can help us to reduce the cost of web development and a mobile application development. So let's talk a little about the PWA features. These are the main features for a PWA application. We already said that it's a responsive website that can work on a computer with a big big screen or a laptop with a regular screen. We can use this website and this application on a tablet and also on a smartphone. PWAs can be connectivity independent, so they can work offline or with a poor connection. There's a lot of techniques that we can implement with the PWA to reduce the consume of data. So we can use this kind of application or this kind of website when the connection of the client, the end user, isn't good. And we're talking like a 2G connection or maybe 3G connection. The design, the UI, and the UX is app-like, so looks and behaves like a native app. So the user is going to be more comfortable working with this application because he is going to be more the application is going to be more integrated with the device of the user. They are fresh, so the application can be always up to date. We don't have these issues that we have with the native application when a developer push or add a change to the application, and then he need to send that application to the stores and wait for approval, and then the users can download the application to see the new features. With PWAs, this doesn't happen since everything comes from the browser, so the developer doesn't need to do all this process. They are safe because if you want to use your web application as a PWA, you need to offer the connection with HTTPS. So all the connection is going to be secure over this protocol. This application or this web application are discoverable because the search engine can index the website or your application, since the application or your website is living on the internet. Engines like Google or Yahoo or Bing can index your website, that it helps to get more engaged for user. They are re-engageable because you can use or integrate push notification to your websites or to your applications. To use the push notification, you need to implement an extra service. It's a really simple process. It's not so hard to do it. And you can send notifications to the users when you have a new content, or when you have, for example, an upcoming event, or you have news that are relevant for the user. So you can bring the attention of the user to your application again. It's installable, so you can add a home screen icon on your smartphone, on your tablet, even on your computer. The application can be linkable, so you can share the installation of your application without any issues. It's not so hard. Uh, Only what you need is a browser to use this kind of applications. And also we have access to different hardware on the devices, like for example, orientation and accelerometer, including the compass and the gyroscope. So you can use application that can make use of the location of the user, like for example, Uber that needs the location of the user to know where is it. You can use geolocation also with this. You can send vibration or set device vibration. You can use the Bluetooth using the web Bluetooth API. You also have access to the camera and the microphone using the get user media and stream. And also you can notice the battery status of the device. This is really helpful when you have applications or website that consumes a lot of resources of the device. So you can know the battery status of the device, and you can offer a variation of the application to reduce the consume of the resources when the device doesn't have too much battery, to help the user to don't decrease the quality of your application or your website on the device. Also, there's some upcoming hardware access on the next releases for PWA, like the use of ambient light sensor that is currently working on Firefox 48, but it's not supported yet for all the browsers. There's also upcoming for the use of NFC, so you can use the access to NFC sensor reader for the devices. The proximity sensor that is already working on Firefox, and also it's coming the fingerprint sensor that is available right now on Chrome beta for Android devices, and it's going to be integrated also with the Touch ID for iOS devices. So how can we convert to a web application to a PWA to the user can add this to the devices. We can use a manifest. The web app manifest is a simple JSON file that gives you, the developer, the ability to control how your app appears to the user. This is an example of a manifest.json. Using the web app manifest, your web app can tell the browser you want your app to open in the standalone window, how it's going to be displayed. Define what page is opened when the app first is launched. So you can use a different page that is not your index or your homepage. You can use another page if you want for, let's say, an example for a mobile optimized page. Define what the app should look like on the dock or an app launcher, the short name and the icons. Create a splash screen, the name, icons, and colors. The splash screen is this screen that shows when you open the application and start to load, and you see a preview image, and then this image goes and show the application correctly. You can tell the browser to open the window in a landscape or portrait. You can define the orientation of your application. And there's a lot of other options on the manifest JSON. We can find more information on the Google documentation. Progressive Web Apps is a project from Google. So they have a lot of information about how can you implement, and also they have examples and labs that you can follow to create your own PWA. So let's see an example of a PWA application. This is a website, a web application that is Flipkart. Flipkart is India's biggest online store. That's how they present. And as you can see here, this is my smartphone, my device. What I did, it was open my browser, that is Chrome for mobile, and I go to flipkart.com. And the first image on the left is the homepage. As you can see on the bottom, over the navigation buttons, there's a message that says add Flipkart Lite to home screen. So Flipkart has a mobile application, and also they use this PWA as a light application, where it means that they try to reduce the consume of the data with this application, and also they are trying to reduce the use of storage from the device. So this is more helpful when you don't have a high device. When you tap on this message, you're going to see this alert that is showing on the second screen. It's a message to add to home screen the Flipkart Lite application. You just need to tap on add, and then the application is going to be added to your device. On the third image, you can see my application list. I filtered the application, and as you can see here, I have the section of the local apps, and there is Flipkart. And if I tap on that icon, on that local application, I'm going to see the same website, the same application that I was looking on, that I was seeing on the Chrome application. But now, as you can see on the last image, there's no browser UI on this application. And also, if I tap on the task manager on my device, I can see the Flipkart application as an independent application on my device, and I can see Chrome as a different application. So they are a different applications now on my device. And the installation is very quickly. It's just add the icon to the device, and also there's some process on the background that are executed, like create a cache or offline storage for the information, for the images and some data. So if I go to offline on my device, if I don't have access to internet, I can browse the Flipkart application uh, and only see the cache images and products. But if I go again to the internet connection, I'm going to refresh I'm going to get the content refresh from the website. So how can implement PWA and WordPress? There's a lot of way to do this implementation. For developers, the most common path to do it is go to documentation of PWA on the Chrome or the Google Chrome documents, and find how we can integrate the manifest and look for all the implementation that we can also add, like the offline storage. But if we want to do this on a simple way, we can use some plugin to integrate this feature to our website, to our application. Currently, there's a lot of different plugins that we can use, and we have one that is supported and is created directly from the PWA plugin contributors, the people that is behind the PWA project, and also Google developers are contributors to this plugin. It's this one, the second one in the first row, the PWA. This plugin implements the main features of the PWA architecture, but there's some issues when you don't have too much experience or you are not a developer. You need to set up a lot of things on the code. They don't offer a good UI to do a lot of changes. So it's a kind of complicated to use this plugin if you don't have knowledge of on development. That's why you can see that the stars is only 3.5, and they don't have too much good ratings, and also doesn't have too much active installations. The third one, Super Progressive Web Apps, it's another plugin that is more friendly user. That's why they have 5 stars, and also they have more active installations because it's really simple to use. So as you can see, this is the the plugin provided for the PWA people developers. Um, you can see there's not too much installation versus the Super PWA. This is the best plugin for a WordPress implementer. So people that doesn't have too much knowledge on code and how the WordPress code works and the core and how to use PHP, they can use a better solution. They can find a better solution implementing Super PWA. To implement this plugin, you only need to install and activate the plugin, and you can see this settings page where you can set all your information for your application, like the application name, the application short name, description. Um, you can set here the icons that you're going to use. These icons are used for iOS and also for Android, and also can be used on Chrome OS or desktop OS. You can set here the splash screen and the background color. As you can see, all these fields are really easy to use. This is just click and select the images, input the text. It's very simple. You can set the theme color, the color what is going to be the bar on your smartphone for Android devices. You can change the color of the bar at the top of the screen. You can set here the start page. As you remember, we see on the manifest that you can set a different page if you want to redirect the user when they install the application on the device. You can define an offline page. This offline page is where what page is going to see the user when you don't have a connection to internet. So you can set a custom message or a custom page to tell the user that he's offline, but the application is going to be refreshed once he goes to internet again. You can set the orientation to portrait or landscape, and you can set the display mode. And that's a very simple way to implement the PWA on your WordPress installation. You don't need to if you have your website or your application even before PWA was a thing or was created. You can implement this plugin and create this application and for mobiles. Uh, Maybe you can ask why someone is going to install your WordPress installation, because almost of the time WordPress is used for blogs, but also you know that WordPress can be used for e-commerce, as we see on the example. So you can let the user install your your shop, your store on their devices, so you can make more easy for they enter to your website and buy something. So that's pretty much. And please let me know on the chat if you have any questions. I'm really glad to answer any question if you have someone. So the first question is, as a company and not considering budget, what factors will make me choose PWA application versus native applications? Well, this is very a good question, because since you're not going to need to create two different versions of an application if you are going to develop a native application. If you want to create a native application, you are going to need a version of your for iOS and another one for Android. So you're going um, to have maybe two developers and send two different applications and maintain two different applications. So it's very hard to maintain this architecture when there's a small startup or a small company. The benefits of PWA is that you can, even let's say on the most simple case, um, if you are the owner of a store, a small store, you can use WordPress, use WooCommerce, and implement the Super PWA plugin, and you can create this a version of your website into a light application. So you can create your own application by yourself. You don't need a developer on the more simple case. If you want to get a more professional work, you can hire a developer, but this developer only needs to know about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So they don't need to know about other frameworks or other libraries like React Native or um, any other framework that can be used for create native applications. So it's going to be more cheap, more accessible for small companies or people that doesn't have too much budget to pay for a native application. There's some limitation on the PWA, like we don't have full access to all the hardware features on the device, and also we don't have this option to move the application to the stores. That can be an inconvenience for some kind of business or people, but that's the main reason to choose a PWA. You can have a lower budget and small budget, and you can get a mobile application at least on like a light version. um, Do you know some example of PWAs building on WordPress? Yeah, there's some examples that are um, on the Google Chrome developer page. You can see some examples of different PWA application, and also there's someone that is built on WordPress. Um, there's not too much, or I didn't see too much examples because, as I can say before, almost of the people thinks that WordPress is only for blogging, and they don't use too much for create a more complex application. But as we know, we can do it using WordPress, and we can implement these plugins or this PWA integration to create not just a website. We can create an mobile applications too. I'm going to add some links to the presentation, so you can go to these examples of and see the WordPress and PWA integration over the CMS. Uh, you mentioned that PWAs are installable. Does it work properly of any mobile devices and operating systems? Yeah, primarily is working better on Android devices since Google is the main contributor of the PWA project, but it also can work on iOS. iOS doesn't have too much support for the access to the hardware since they are um, very close on that kind of things. But you can use the PWA on any device that has a Chrome or sorry a browser, a mobile browser. For example, there's some applications on the Chrome store that you can install on your browser, and they have some applications have this option that also creates an access on um, your application folder, so you can go directly to the application using the icon on OS X. And also, for example, on Chrome OS, you can also install the application and use it like it was a native application. It all depends if the browser, sorry, the OS have support for install this kind of PWAs, but you can access to the application if you have a browser. So you don't need to have a specific operating system to access to the web application. Just the icon sometimes isn't possible to install on all operating systems. Does anyone else have another questions? And thank you, Liam. You're welcome. Well, I hope this talk was useful for you. Thank you so much for everybody for joining us on this lighting talk. And please stay tuned for the next week, the next edition for Not This Lighting Talks. So see you next time. Thank you.